You are all very welcome to the evening session of our 73rd Party Conference. Great to see you all here. I'm going to start with a couple of housekeeping rules. As you know, we're going to be going on live TV for the party leader speech at 6:30 to 7. So please all turn off or put on silent your mobile phones immediately. Please also take off your lanyards so that we maintain what bit of individuality we have. And please also be conscious that when you're on live TV, it's good to have your eyes open. It's good to have a nice expression on your face. So please be mindful of that. So look, this conference is very much in preparation for the local and European elections. We're showcasing our candidates, our local election candidates in particular. The party leader always says that we are a party of deep roots and green shoots. And I want to show you a video now that some of our local election candidates have taken part in recently, and I think this video really exemplifies that deep roots and green shoots idea.
An island that works for all means inclusion. It means social justice. It means we are here for everyone.
I believe that the Labour Party is the party of dignity and respect, and that's what people need, is a bit of dignity and respect.
I always liked the idea of making change happen.
I think really what's at the heart of driving as a councillor is wanting to make where you live an even better place to live.
I saw politics as a way of community involvement. So that's my own definition of politics. Going out to the community, making yourself available for people to come to you and for you to hear. Because if you do not engage with them, then how do you support them?
Like, my politics are local, my politics are community, my politics are dealing with what I see in front of me on a daily basis. A guaranteed standard of living for everybody, that's what the Labour Party wants. A small sentence, but it's a big aim.
And the value of the Labour Party has always been representing the working person, and that's exactly what we need to do still. The idea that people can ring you with an issue, whether it's big or small, it's their issue, and the idea that you can actually help them with that issue, the idea that you can make that change happen for them, which might be a small issue, might be a big issue.
You're there to help, you're there to push things along, you're there to demand better of our decision makers and our policy makers. And for me, just the range, the diverse group of people you meet as a councillor is my favourite thing about it.
Being different is not a negative thing. I see it as a positive thing. But then it's how do we use the differences for our own good?
The councillors are there to voice the concerns of the community and to represent the community's needs. And I think those things to me aren't big things to ask for. They're the very basics that any decent society would have, and unfortunately our society is lacking in them, and that's what Labour wants to address.
An island that works for all means inclusion, equity, social justice. An island that works for you, for me, and for everyone.
And a huge thanks to Dara Moriarty, Helen Ogbu, Owen Kenny and Mary McCamley for taking part in that video. So as well as local elections on June 7th, we are also going to have European elections, and we are delighted to have two of our candidates for the European elections selected. We have Niamh Hourigan over here for Ireland South. We will be selecting our candidate for Midlands Northwest in April, and we also have already selected our candidate for Dublin, as you all know, Aodhán Ó Ríordáin. And I know these candidates, I know each of them will do the party extremely proud, and we'll all be there to support them along the way. So before Aodhán comes out onto stage to introduce the party leader, I would like to show you a short video from Aodhán and from his campaign and why he's doing this.
I love Dublin. It's where I'm from, it's where I grew up, it's where I've always worked, it's where I'm trying to raise a family. I love its people, I love its energy, I love its history, and I really care about its future. The Dublin that I grew up in, yeah, we had our challenges, but we're willing to face them. That we love this city, we love this county, and we believe in ourselves. And we saw through it with a bit of humour, but certainly with a bit of ambition for the future. As a teacher in an ordinary city for 11 years, I turned to politics and I helped fight problems with literacy by launching a Right to Read campaign, getting libraries open longer. And I've been fighting the scourge of drugs in Dublin for as long as I've been involved in politics. We can achieve so much. We can deliver an EU plan for affordable housing. We can deliver an EU response to global warming. So all the campaigns we fought together, education disadvantage, tackling the drug crisis, housing, building on community facilities, opening libraries longer. These are things that we've always won together. Think about marriage equality, think about repeal. We built a momentum of people who cared about these issues enough to deliver on them. And for the place that we love, for the place that we call home. We have so many challenges that we have to face now. It's time for serious political leadership in Dublin. And I want to provide that. I want to fight for Dublin.
Delegates, welcome to Dublin's North Side. I've never been as proud to be a member of this party or as excited to see what we can achieve. We are now perfectly placed to deliver real change for Ireland. We know this because we are the only party who has ever had the courage to change Ireland. For us, change isn't a slogan, it's our life's work. We are a party with the ambition to house our people, to end the scourge of low pay and insecure work, to make childcare a right, to empower our disabled citizens, to end poverty, end homelessness, end educational disadvantage. To many that sounds impossible, but to us, we know that impossible is only an opinion. The rights we help deliver for Irish people for over 100 years have always been considered impossible to some people. We have always stood for justice and decency in Irish society. We challenged political corruption in the council chamber and in the Dáil. We championed the cause of peace on this island when others shouted for war. Fighting for women's rights, workers' rights, gay rights, disability rights, migrant rights, travellers' rights. This isn't just what we do, it's what we are. And yes, we take on the difficult issues. We will demand drug policy reform, prison reform, Garda reform, separation of church and state. And we will take on the racists, be they on social media, on the streets, in the Dáil, in the Seanad, or in the European Parliament. We are serious about tackling climate change, challenging Putin's Irish mouthpieces, and when Israel seeks international approval for the murder of Palestinian children, we will demand international action on a complete boycott of the Israeli state. Of course, there are those who oppose us, from the Red Scare days of days gone by to cries of woke today. Well, I'd rather be woke than asleep at the wheel. I'd rather be left than a civil war leftover. I'd rather be red than yellow. And in this defining hour for the Labour Party, we are so fortunate to be led by a woman who embodies everything that is best of Ireland, a warrior for justice, a brilliant mind, and a warm, compassionate heart. A woman with Czech blood, a Cork upbringing, and a Dublin home. A woman who is more passionate and ambitious for the cause of decency and equality than anyone I have ever known. The woman who has done more to drag this country out of the dark ages than any other. A feminist, a socialist, a true Republican. She is first and foremost a friend, loyal and true. There is no kinder, warmer and more generous person than Ivana in Irish politics today. We all know that. She's a hero of mine, and I know of yours too. To know her is to love her. We now live in a complicated world. The challenges we face are enormous. This isn't the time for lightweights. We need leaders. Ireland needs Ivana Bacik, someone who is the difference between winning and losing, someone with the courage and determination to keep social justice on the agenda, someone who will always take risks for progress, a woman who sees wrong and will not rest until it is put to right. A leader, not a follower. Dinne inspiráideach, Croga, Lách, Ceann Dána, atá dirithe héal gach duine in éireann ausú. A great Irish leader when we need one most. That's the Ivana I know. Please welcome Ivana Bacik TD, leader of the Labour Party.
Guramahagoiv Akarja, friends and comrades, thank you very much for that lovely welcome. And I want to thank my good friend Aon for those kind and generous words. I know you agree with me, he will make an incredible MEP for Dublin. Now, as a football fanatic, I'm sure Aon would love to be at Lansdowne Road right now, and I'd be there myself. But tonight we have important work to do. Across Ireland and across Europe, many want to sow division and distrust. But our mission in Labour is to deliver positive change, to build an Ireland that works for all. Comrades, elections over the next 12 months will shape the future of our country. They say a week is a long time in politics. Well, never was that more true than this week. And on a personal note, I want to wish Leo Varadkar well on his decision. I think we all acknowledge politics can take a toll, but it is how we achieve change. And colleagues, for those of you who don't know me, I want to share with you a personal story that has shaped my life. My Czech grandfather, Charles Bacik, sought refuge in Ireland nearly 80 years ago with his young family. I think of his experience and how much he contributed to Waterford Crystal and to Ireland. My grandfather's story and the story of so many migrants who have done so much for our country confirms our need to show solidarity with those who seek refuge here now. Solidarity with those sleeping in tents on Mount Street tonight. Solidarity with the tens of thousands of Ukrainians fleeing Russia's brutal invasion and war. Our sense of solidarity. It's why Irish people are such a strong voice in condemning Israel's genocide in Gaza. And colleagues, as famine takes hold and the relentless killing of Palestinians continues, we need the release of all hostages and a permanent ceasefire. And we in Labour believe that now is the time for Ireland to break diplomatic and trade links with Israel. Conference, when we see what's happening in Europe, it must strengthen our resolve to elect socialist group MEPs. Too many of the voices in Brussels now do not represent our values. Fine Gael's European Party engages in climate change denial. Their leader, Ursula von der Leyen, tacitly endorses the apartheid policies of Netanyahu's government. And meanwhile, Irish MEPs in Sinn Féin's grouping vote against nature restoration laws and tacitly endorse Putin's brutal regime in Russia. So we must have change. We must return Labour voices for Europe in June. And colleagues, if you want a just transition for a sustainable economy, an EU-wide plan for affordable housing, MEPs who will stand firm against the far right, and European solidarity with the people of Gaza and of Ukraine, if you want candidates who will stand for equality, solidarity and fairness, then I'm asking you to vote for Aodhán Ó Ríordáin in Dublin and Niamh Hourigan in Ireland South. Conference, you may know how I first got into politics, some years ago now. As a student activist, I faced prison and bankruptcy for providing women with information on abortion. It took us many years after that to repeal the Eighth Amendment, but we did. Change is never easy. It takes courage and it takes dedication. It takes commitment from activists, like the many I see here tonight. And we need your activism. We need that courage and commitment to resolve the challenges our society faces, to deliver homes, to protect workers, to tackle climate change, and to provide care and support when we need it. That's our Labour vision, and it's needed now more than ever. Because, as we know, for far too many people, Ireland is simply not working. No matter how much Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil try to speak the language of equality, they're fooling no one. Their failing government is more interested in shortcuts or gimmicks. Didn't we see it just 2 weeks ago? Government members who said one thing but did another, and only admitted it after the result. Conference, the far right is jubilant and on the rise across the country. They seek to target the most vulnerable, and this government is letting them away with it. This government has no plan to put in place the support and the shelter that is needed for refugees who are left out in the cold while we see vacant buildings lying empty. By contrast, we in Labour have a clear plan. A plan to end direct provision and to deliver a fair and effective policy on migration, rooted in our values and our experience as a land of emigrants. That's our Labour vision. It's more than a vision for us. Across the country, I am so proud of our members and our representatives working with local communities to support those who need our help, because our campaigns are rooted in our communities. And like you, I am a community activist. I've campaigned to get new multi-denominational schools opened and to set up local refugee welcome groups. Like you, like all of us, I am fighting for more homes, for better services, for more school places, for playgrounds, for parks, and for sports pitches. And I'm proud of our work. Our communities need us. Labour activists and Labour public representatives who have the commitment to make change. Because, colleagues, our party knows how to make change happen. We are doers, not bystanders, not commentators. Our councillors and our candidates are the backbone of our party. You are our shop stewards in our great collective endeavour. And here tonight, we're joined by nearly 100 Labour candidates for the local elections, with more still to be selected. And I'm asking you at home to give our Labour candidates your support and your #1 vote in June. You know Labour candidates are working hard to deliver change for you across the country. And when elected, your Labour councillors will support public housing and will support good planning. We will support active travel schemes and the delivery of decent civic amenities. But this government continues to strip powers away from your local councils. Labour would overturn that. We would reform local government so that more of the decisions that affect you are made locally. That's our Labour vision. Conference, our country faces huge challenges. After 8 years of Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil rule, give or take the Greens, the housing crisis is worse than ever. With over 4,000 children homeless, a shameful record. With record rents, with unaffordable homes. We know food and energy prices are breaking the bank every month, And the chaos in emergency departments means sick people are afraid to go to hospital. So working people are caught in a triple bind, fighting for creche places and school places, for autism assessments and therapies for their children, fighting for home help hours or medical appointments for their own parents, and all the while trying to cover the cost of the mortgage or rent, the electricity bill or the big food shop. We know that nobody wants that struggle for themselves, and most of all, no parent wants that for our children. Far too many young people still living at home with their parents, stuck in arrested development, or stuck in a rental trap, paying off someone else's mortgage, unable to save for one of their own. Young couples even delaying having their own children because of the housing crisis. This is the reality of modern Ireland. No security, no certainty, a new precariat. Our country, which has come so far in so many ways, is now losing some of our best people. And who could blame younger generations for looking beyond these shores? Colleagues, this is the tragedy of Ponzi scheme politics. We keep hearing that the budget books are good, that resources aren't an issue. But the problem is, we have government parties which do not believe in the power of the state. And the problem is, we have ministers in government who are out of touch, who have lost control or have left their jobs. Focused on internal leadership contests, they want to do anything but govern. And what are their solutions? Reliance on the private sector, a tax break here or a one-off grant there. What good are these for a homeless family, for a patient on a trolley, or a child waiting for a CAMHS appointment? The government has made a pyramid scheme of our basic needs. They are giving people a trickle of their taxes back to pay for non-existent services the state should have provided in the first place. So people want radical change, not cosmetic change. The Taoiseach's resignation last week is the ultimate vote of no confidence in his own government. I do personally wish Simon Harris well, but my challenge to the man who will be the new temporary Taoiseach is this. If he has confidence in this government, then he should call a general election now. Because we should let the people decide on the radical change that is needed. The housing disaster, the civil rights issue of our generation. We all know this. And building homes will be our #1 priority in government. Last year, I said that we need an ambition for 1 million homes over a decade. That's 50,000 new builds and 50,000 deep retrofits per year over 10 years. Because this recognises the real scale of the chronic need for housing and the need to meet our climate targets. And we can find enough construction workers to deliver on both. But this government won't even pay apprentices the minimum wage, let alone mount a proactive recruitment campaign. The government attacks our ambition on housing, but they have no answers when the experts agree with us, and they do. 2 weeks ago, we put forward our Labour housing plan in the Dáil, but the government couldn't even muster their own ideas to oppose it. So, to tackle the housing crisis, Labour would regulate short-term lettings. We would make homes from the vacant and derelict buildings which blight every town and village in this country. And we would protect renters through reinstating an evidence-based ban on no-fault evictions. And we would increase funding for adaptation grants, provide dedicated housing for older people and people with disabilities. And we would transform the Land Development Agency into a state construction company to build and deliver the homes we need. These are our red lines for government, because we know that we will never solve the supply and affordability housing crisis with subsidies to developers. It's time for stronger state action, action that this government cannot be trusted to deliver. Conference, we know that this government cannot be trusted either to deliver on workers' rights. We see far too many workers in precarious jobs, far too many on low pay who need a pay rise. We must end the scandal of bogus self-employment and protect the rights of vulnerable workers in the gig economy. We must introduce reproductive health leave for women at work. And we must ensure that workers can benefit from artificial intelligence rather than being displaced by an algorithm. Labour in government, as the party of the trade union movement, would tackle low pay. We would use public procurement to lift wages, and we would deliver a right to organise at work. Because as proud trade unionists, we know that united we stand, divided we beg. And that's our commitment to deliver on workers. We must raise incomes while tackling the cost of living. And colleagues, right now, Ireland has the highest household electricity prices in the EU, while we see fossil fuel companies making record profits. So as part of our climate plans, Labour would focus on how we can cut the cost of electricity for families and for small businesses down to the EU average. This would save families up to €700 per year. Our mission in government will be to make the just transition real for people impacted by climate change. That means a stronger state role in ramping up renewable energy. It means targeted grants for home retrofits so that everyone can afford to upgrade their homes. It means accessible and affordable public transport. It means vastly enhanced cycling and walking infrastructure. It means a bike-to-school incentive scheme, safer streets and limits on SUVs. I know we all agree on that. We stand for clean air, for reduced emissions, for thriving communities, and for better public health. Because we know that our world is on red alert and running out of time. Our planet needs action now, for us and for future generations. Just as we need action now for every generation on care. And on childcare, Labour has clear policy. We would deliver a Niamh Bhreathnach moment with a guaranteed preschool place for every child. And we would introduce a new Fair Deal scheme to support older people to remain living at home, because so many people are terrified of ending up in an overcrowded emergency department, like in Limerick or in Cork. To deliver on the promise of Sláintecare, Labour's commitment is to complete the rollout of free GP care that we started We would commit to lift the HSE recruitment embargo and to reverse the privatisation of healthcare. And further, we commit to recognising the true value of care work in our society through decent pay and conditions for carers. Conference, we respect the results of the referendums on family and on care. But if they had one clear message, it is that the state must do more to realise the rights of disabled people. That means scrapping the Green Paper, investing in supports and ratifying the optional protocol. Nothing less than a new bill of disability rights. And our reforms will not stop there. Labour is committed to ending child poverty. And in government, we would ensure that social protection payments are automatically increased in line with inflation, long overdue. Colleagues, we would tackle the harms caused by criminalising people in addiction by repealing Section 3 of the Misuse of Drugs Act. And we would legislate for assisted dying. We would deliver on our vision of a community model for policing, with more Gardaí on our streets. And colleagues, we stand also for a truly free education system with enough school places for all children where church and state are separated. But Conference, to do all this, to deliver on our Labour programme for change, we need a strong, sustainable economy. You know you can trust Labour to create jobs, to support investment, because we have a track record of delivering growth, not just for the sake of a budget surplus, rather to achieve our vision for an Ireland that works for all. And also so that we can plan for the future, a future that will include a unity referendum on our island. This will be a monumental task, to be approached with an open and generous mindset. And Labour has outlined how we would prepare for a united Ireland. That work must start in the next government, with a dedicated department to undertake the necessary detailed work of reconciliation, integration, and unity planning. Conference, this is our Labour programme for change. We have the courage to believe that we can change our society. And we'll be fighting every day between now and the 7th of June, so that Labour representatives are in all the rooms where decisions are made, at local council chambers and in the European Parliament too. The stakes are high. Our communities need effective representation on housing, on workers' rights, on climate and on care. Hard work, trust in our principles and collective endeavour. That's the future of social democracy. It is the future for Ireland, and it always has been. Colleagues, we are the party of deep roots and of green shoots, a party of political passion, of conviction, of integrity and of courage. We are strong when we work together. Ní neart go cur le chéile. So all these things are possible. But building homes takes labour. Staffing hospitals takes labour. Tackling the climate crisis, that takes labour too. Comrades, let us rise. If you believe in our vision, join us, work with us, vote Labour for an Ireland that works for all. Gura maith agóibh.
What it's going to be like. Waiting on a moonlit night. Wondering what it's going to be like. Waiting on a moonlit night. what it's going to be like. Waiting on a moonlit night. It's going to be like what a fantastic day. A marvelous wonder. What a great day. What a fantastic day. What a great day. What a fantastic day. A marvelous wonder. What a great day. What a fantastic day. Waiting on a moonlit night. Wondering what it's going to be like. Waiting on a moonlit night. Wondering what it's going to be like. Waiting on a moonlit night. Wondering what it's going to be like. Waiting on a moonlit night. Wondering what it's going to be like. You reveled in a spell of a beating, pleasing stroke of a country air. What it's going to be and like. You reveled in the spell of the echoes, then to hush of the velvet pair. What it's going to be and like. You reveled in the spell of a beating, pleasing stroke of the country air. What it's going to be and like. You reveled in the spell of the echoes, then to hush of the velvet pair. What it's going to be like. What a fantastic day. A marvelous wonder. What a great day. What a fantastic day. What a great day. What a fantastic day. A marvelous wonder. What a great day. What a fantastic day. What a great day. What a fantastic day. Waiting on a moonlit night. What a fantastic day. Waiting on a moonlit night. What it's going to be. And you revel in the spell of a beating, pleasing stroke of the country air. And you reveled in the spell of the echoes, then to hush of the velvet pair. What it's going to be like.
Everybody, can we ask you to take your seats, please? Thanks very much. right, we'll get going. Congratulations to Ivana on a most wonderful party leader speech. Absolutely fantastic. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Niamh Harrigan. I am the Labour Party candidate for Ireland South. Thank you. As you can see, the campaign trail is taking a toll on my voice, so bear with me. Big Jim Larkin said, "We live in momentous times." And in momentous times, awards matter. Awards from political parties matter. They tell the world what we care about. They tell the world who we honour. They tell the world what we think is important. They are symbols, but they're important symbols. They're symbols of what we believe, symbols of who we esteem. So it's my privilege this evening to present 2 awards. The first, and I suppose to go back to Big Jim Larkin's point of us living in momentous times, one of the most momentous things that's happened since the Labour Party last met in conference has been the conflict in Gaza. One of the most darkest and disturbing and difficult things that has happened in the last year. And in these times, I think it's so important that we as a party honour and recognise and show esteem to those who are speaking up and are suffering, for those who are suffering. There's very little. I think many of us feel very powerless when we're confronted with what's going on in Gaza since the Hamas attack. And the Palestinian community are effectively dependent on their voices out in the world to speak up for them. And I think it takes great courage and great endurance and great stamina to continue speaking up at the moment when things are so difficult, when they seem to be getting worse, when we see Israel using starvation now as a weapon of war, contrary to every international statute. So the Jim Larkin Thirst for Justice Award is named after the trade union leader and founder, member of the Labour Party, James Larkin, and it's awarded to the person who, or group in their personal or professional life, have made an outstanding contribution in the area of human rights and justice. This year, the Labour Party is awarding the Jim Larkin Thirst for Justice Award to the Palestinian ambassador, Dr. Jilan Wahaba Abd al-Majid. So Dr. Abd al-Majid has a long career in the Palestinian diplomatic service. She began her diplomatic career at the Palestinian Ministry for Foreign Affairs in 1995 as Assistant Chief of Protocol. She was then posted to Cyprus, where she completed her doctorate in political marketing, and she came to Ireland 7 years ago as deputy to the former ambassador. She presented her credentials as ambassador of the State of Palestine to Ireland to President Higgins in January 2020. She's a mom of 3. It's my privilege this evening to present the Jim Larkin Thirst for Justice Award to the Palestinian ambassador to Ireland. Cogordakas.
Thank you very much. I am delighted to be with you tonight. I'm truly humbled and honored to be awarded this prestigious award. First and foremost, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to you, the Labour Party. Thank you, Ivana Pacek. Thank you, Belly, for coordinating, and your team for coordinating my participation in this award. At this time, while our people in Palestine are facing the worst brutal aggression and genocidal war against their existence on their land, and the whole world is watching live massacres against our people in Gaza, famine is looming. The situation in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, is not less dreadful. The danger of colonial settlers' violence and illegal colonization has become alarming. Yesterday, the Israeli government approved the confiscations of 8,000 dunams from the Jordan Valley in the West Bank. And the last week, they approved the advancement of 3,500 settlement units. In this month of Ramadan, the month of Lent, the month of charity, compassion, and worship, and in particular for the Palestinians in Al-Aqsa Mosque. Even during this holy month, the people are left alone to deal with the Israeli bombardment and Gaza violence and war, genocidal war against our people in Gaza. People are dying from hunger as well. And I wanted to echo here Mr. Joseph Borrell, who said, Gaza used to be an open-air prison. Today, Gaza is a graveyard of tens of thousands of people and also a graveyard of many principles of humanitarian laws. And I say, it's a graveyard of humanity. Political and financial support from the international community not only gave Israel the right to self-defense, but encouraged it to act with impunity. The 7th of October didn't happen out of thin air. It has been decades of oppression, colonization, dispossession, and denial of our national identity and our rights to self-determination. The land of Palestine is not disputed. It's colonized. It has been 169 days in a row, and Israel has crossed every moral, humanitarian, and legal law that exists. The rage and revenge has gone far beyond humanity. This murder must end. No legitimate justification can be offered by the international community for failing their responsibilities to stop this war. The world cannot remain on the sideline where fighters' jets, gunships, tanks, and snipers attack defenseless, sacred, and desperate Palestinian civilians who have now nowhere else to flee for safety. I look at the future and see the state of Palestine is very near, it's very close. Freedom will not be presented on a plate. The sacrifice of our people for decades will not be in vain. Jim Larrikin's legacy, and I quote him here, there must be freedom for all to live, to think, to worship, to book. No avenue must be closed. Inspires not only Irish workers, the meaning behind this belief is universal. We, the Palestinians, see our future in your eyes, Irish people, in your aspiration for freedom hundreds of years ago. Our suffering of oppression, of forced displacement, of dispossession, of discrimination, and of our national identity denial, and now starvation.
You, the Irish people, know exactly what every word means. It's in your vocabulary. It's in your history. We find hope as you liberate your land, that we Palestinians will liberate our land. Our story in Palestine is the story of a nation aspiring for freedom. How can anyone justify the continued collective punishment, deprivation, and starvation of the Palestinian people under Israeli brutal occupation as its forces and extremist protesters continue deliberately obstructing food, water, and medicine from reaching civilians? There is no justification for humiliation, for dehumanization, and the starvation of our people. Today, as I am kindly honored with this award, my heart is with the families of our martyrs, of our people who were killed by during this Israeli barbaric war. Gaza and the rest of the occupied Palestinian territories, and I wish recovery as well for the wounded people, for the wounded, freedom for our prisoners and detainees, independence and recognition for the state of Palestine, and life with dignity for those who remain alive. And I hope that this bloodshed will end soon. Israel and its viciousness goes beyond the crime of genocide as defined by the Genocide Convention. Over the course of 6 continuous months, Israel, the enemy of humanity, killed and injured not only thousands of our people, the majority of whom are women and children, but destroyed the simple dream of those families and the whole nation to live in peace and security. It forcibly displaced 2 million Palestinians inside Gaza Strip, meaning 87 of our citizens in Gaza, and destroyed 360,000 homes in Gaza, amounting to 65% of its building and residential units. And they did so with full awareness and pre-planning. Israel continues to subject the Palestinian people in Gaza Strip to starvation for the 169 days. And today, children, women, and elderly are being killed by starvation. They are literally killed by starvation. In addition to killing and destroying their homes, schools, mosques, hospitals, with 70,000 tons of explosives. Reports and testimonies from international organizations have indicated that the entire population in Gaza Strip suffers from acute and severe food insecurity, including 500,000 who are living in the state of famine that is at risk of dying from starvation. So far, we lost more than 40 child from starvation. This is the first time in our history in Gaza that people can plant and eat from their house, but there is nothing. Israel didn't leave any place for anything to grow during this bombardment. The war on Gaza has entered the 6th month, and there is no prospect of stopping it, despite all the attempts to reach ceasefire. It's clear that Israel doesn't want to stop the war, to stop the killing, to stop the destruction, and continue this war of extermination against the Palestinian people. The occupation obstructs the effort of all humanitarian organizations, and it's acting with arrogance in considering requests from those organizations to bring in aid, as aid is considered part of its pressure to force the population to move and then to be displaced. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all the countries who put extreme effort to make the airdrops to Gaza, but those are not sufficient. Israel continues to commit the crime of ethnic cleansing for more than 76 years against the Palestinian person, intending to kill him and to destroy him psychologically, erase his traces and heritage, and obliterate his identity and culture. As Israel, the occupying apartheid and genocidal force, planned to uproot the Palestinian person from his land and steal geography, history, and the narrative that linked to the Palestinian person in his land over thousands of years. Israel deliberately destroyed the health system, the education, the economy, destroyed the buildings, the houses, destroyed the infrastructure, destroys our memories. The intention is to make Gaza unlivable, to make life impossible in Gaza, to displace our people not only by force, but otherwise voluntarily. But their arrogance failed them realizing that our people are resilient and strongly believe that the 1948 Nakba will not be repeated and we will not be fooled again. That's why it is the responsibility of the international community to stop this impunity and arrogance. The consequences have already been disastrous and will be even more catastrophic. All states must uphold their international legal obligations and responsibilities and end any complicity. There is a responsibility to protect civilians' lives and to avert further destabilization and this extremely dangerous situation. This must begin with a ceasefire now. It's the time to act in the interest of the welfare It's time to act in the interest of the welfare of all civilians, of the rule of law, and of regional and international peace and security. Free Palestine, free the Palestinian people, end this occupation, end this war. Thank you very much.
I think anybody who was at this session earlier on today on immigration would realise how strong feelings are amongst members of the Labour Party around this particular issue. The Cormac O'Brien Award is named after a former Labour Youth Chair and party activist who died tragically in 2019. At each Labour Party conference, the award is given to a youth activist, and this year Labour Youth is delighted to present this year's Cormac O'Brien Award to Beleni Mafako. So Mafako, who was raised in the apartheid ghetto of Kalisha in Cape Town, actively participated in rallies advocating for better housing and land access with Hahali-based Majonolodo, better medical care through the Kalisha Health Forum, and enhanced policing through neighbourhood watches. In 2017, he sought refuge, citing the need for shelter from persecution and organised murder of individuals who identified as LGBTQ+. He serves as a representative for Mazai, the movement of asylum seekers in Ireland, advocating for the universal right of those seeking asylum to work and the determination of direct provision. Bellany holds a position on the board of the Irish Council for Civil Liberties, and additionally, he's a member of Equinox, an alliance consisting of progressive organisers within the European Union. It's our privilege this evening to present the Cormac O'Brien Award to Bellany Mafako.
A very good evening, conference. I will try to be brief and I'll try to project my voice because normally I'm very soft-spoken, but I try to always speak with rage, very courageous rage that we saw from the ambassador. So congratulations, Ambassador. Thank you very much. Whenever I speak, I always try to leave people with at least three things. And today I just want you to leave with one. I won't bore you with long three things that you need to live with. But that's one thing is called the rule of law. And we seem to forget that. It's a theme that the ambassador also spoke to when it comes to international law. But it's particularly relevant in Ireland because today there are asylum seekers sleeping outside Mount Street. And every night that they spend outside the International Protection Office, Ireland stands in violation of Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights. Article 3 prohibits torture and inhumane and degrading treatment. There are many cases in the European Court of Human Rights, the first one being of an asylum seeker who was left destitute, sleeping on the streets in Belgium. Similarly, in Greece, they had a similar experience and a similar case was taken. And both cases, asylum seekers won those cases because the European Court of Human Rights found that the destitution that an asylum seeker experiences when they are left on the streets with no way of meeting their basic needs for shelter, very basic things like shower, a toilet, food, amounts to inhumane and degrading treatment within the meaning of Article 3 of the European Convention. So when you think about who is in government today, one of those political parties likes to call themselves the party of law and order. Well, the law doesn't only apply to the people you like or the people who look like you. It applies to all of us. And that's the same for human rights. A good friend of mine from Russia, Evgeny Shton, will tell you that human rights aren't just for the people you like. They are for every one of us. Every single human person has the right to have their human rights respected. And every time when the Irish state fails to vindicate those rights, and every time an asylum seeker fails to challenge the state when their rights are not vindicated, it violates another article in the European Convention of Human Rights, which is the right to redress, effective remedy. Article 13 gives us that right. Everybody in Ireland, I don't have to be an Irish citizen or European citizen to have that right. By virtue of being human, I have that right. And we have a state in government today, parties in government today who don't respect that. Another one today that came up, a news article in the journal, was very upsetting. The Irish government has convinced themselves that they can deter people from coming to Ireland to seek asylum. And the way they are doing that is by arresting and detaining people who come here seeking asylum without a passport or a travel document. Now, at face value, you would think, well, they are violating our immigration laws. How can they travel to Ireland without a passport and a travel document? But guess what? That's been happening for years because in international law and Irish law, you cannot punish an asylum seeker for not having a passport or a travel document or an identity document. You just simply need to read the Geneva Convention and would challenge Minister McEntee to read it. It's there in black and white. All that we need to do is to respect it. And we don't respect it when it is convenient for the Irish government. There are many people who look like me who came here many years ago without a passport, without a travel document, with no ID, claimed asylum, and declared when they had a fake passport, they told the state that they had a fake passport, went through the asylum process, got refugee status, subsidiary protection, or humanitarian leave to remain, whatever status they got. They got that status, they applied for naturalization, they are Irish citizens today. They were never sent to jail. But today we have a government that has jailed single asylum-seeking men because they want to scare others from coming here. All of that actually links in very well with the policies of one president of the United States of America called Donald Trump. It also links in well with somebody across the pond called Nigel Farage. It's their policies of, we don't want any more of your kind here. That's what we need to challenge every time when they come to our doorstep, when they ask us to vote for them, to remind them that the Economic and Social Rights Institute of Ireland recently published a study that says 73% of Irish people actually welcome immigration, would welcome people coming here to seek asylum, irrespective of where they come from, whether they are from the Ukraine or Nigeria or the Congo. It doesn't matter where they are from, they would welcome them. We need a government that reflects that policy. We need a government that respects that public opinion, because government in a modern democracy gets its mandate from the people. And we don't have a government now that is, we have a government now that is out of step with the aspirations of Irish people. And that needs to change. Asante Asane, I will pause there. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to say a big well done to both our award winners. I think it's fair to say that the presentations of awards tonight have, I think, reflected the strength of feeling on the ground that certainly has come across to me today as part of this Labour Party conference. On another note, I would like to thank so many of you for your personal support to me as I get out on the campaign trail for the last month. It's been so appreciated. And I would ask you to continue to remember me in the next couple of months. I'll be annoying you all, certainly any of you in Ireland South, with requests for help and to come out and talk to you about various things. So I'd appreciate any support you can give me. Thank you very much.
Okay, our last section this evening is the Long Service Awards for 2024. Our first recipient tonight is Peter Archer from Meath East. Peter became involved in the Labour Party in Meath in the early 1980s, shortly after he moved to Ashburn. He played a part in the 3 general elections from 1981 and 1982 and was active in the referendum campaigns in both 1983 and 1985. He was delighted to be a candidate in the 1987 general election with then sitting TD Frank McLaughlin. Unfortunately, despite a good and vigorous campaign, the seat was lost. The nature of Peter's work made it difficult for him to be more prominent in politics after 1989. However, he did canvass in every single election since then, citing highlights including the presidential election of 1990, the springtide of 1992 and the success in 2011. Peter is from Cork City and has worked for 46 years as an educational researcher and policy analyst. He's married to Claire with 4 adult children and 4 grandchildren and has been one of the backbones of our party in Meath and Meath East. Peter, would you like to come forward and accept your long service award? Thank you. Irene Dunnigan, who unfortunately cannot be with us tonight, has advocated for workers' rights her whole life as a SIPTU trade union official and more recently as citizen information volunteer. She's never wavered to fly the Labour flag in Cavan, perhaps a part of the country that has never been fertile territory for us. She and those like her cannot be applauded enough for sustaining the party through thick and thin. She's always shown up for social justice when few others did, campaigning against the 8th Amendment in the 80s when few other brave souls did, just as she actively took part in the Yes campaign in 2018. Whether for women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, immigrants' rights, Irene has always stood up for a more progressive and accepting Ireland, even when that vision seems so far away. She's canvassed alongside election candidates like Mary Croke, Liam van der Speck and former Cavan Town Councillor Des Cullen. She's the person most responsible for keeping a branch together in Cavan all these years and imparting her advice and wisdom. And in her absence, I think we should give her a round of applause, as you can hear in Cavan. Declan O'Brien has been an active member of the Clondalkin Labour Party branch for over 50 years, serving as Chair, Secretary, Treasurer. He has been at the centre of every election at that time, be it general, local, European or presidential. He's been a regular source of well-thought-out advice for all the elected representatives we've had in the area over the years, beginning with Justin Keating, followed by Mervyn Taylor and many more. He also played a major role in all the important referenda over the years. His family name has been so synonymous with Labour in Clondalkin that when the Sinn Féin O'Brien arrived in the constituency, many locals wondered, sure, what relation was he to Declan? The answer is none. However, there's a lot more to Declan than his Labour Party activity. Tá sum fi leath ag Declan so Gaeilge agus bhí an teanga a labhairt acu ina chealamh. Bhí baint mór aige le bunú le céad scoil le an Gaeilge sa cheantar. Many years ago, when the government announced their intention to build a toxic waste disposal centre in Baldonnell, he was a founder member of the Clondalkin Anti-Toxic Group, which led a successful campaign against the proposal. Declan has a long and proud record of community service in Clondalkin and service to our Labour Party and is thoroughly deserving of his long service award this evening. Three words sum up Hugh McConville's life. I'm told. Politics, photography and people. Hugh was active in left-wing politics in Dublin in the 1960s and 1970s, campaigning for social housing and against evictions. He was never going to be a person who worked 9 to 5 in an office, not when there was something more adventurous. In his early 20s, he hopped on his motorbike and drove to Killybegs, where he went fishing on a trawler off the coasts of Donegal and Mayo. Back in Dublin, he worked on the Wood Quay archaeology site, representing older men who had returned from a lifetime working on British construction sites. When Wood Quay closed, he moved to Sligo, where he set up a film processing laboratory, the pre-digital way of producing photographs. The 1980s saw him working with young people through Foróige. Hugh has always maintained a belief and involvement with young people, offering them alternatives to militarism and armed resistance. The photo lab fell victim to the 1980s recession, and with unemployment sky high, Hugh started picking fresh mussels from the sea and selling them to local restaurants to make a living. Eventually returned to Dublin and to his real work of photography, working as a freelance news and commercial photographer. He kept up his involvement with young people and was appointed to the board of Gashka, the President's Award. Hugh is a doer, he's not a talker, and he later resigned from the board to take up a job of Gashka Development Officer in the Northwest, based in Sligo. He worked with young people from Donegal to Galway, leading them on exchange projects with communities in Newfoundland, France and Estonia, and making lifelong friends. Hugh also joined Sligo Trades Council and represented it on the local Community Development Committee for several years, where he brought the union's voice into local government structures. The county managers loved him, I hear. He joined the Labour Party during the post-coalition years, bringing his special mix of serious politics, humour and enthusiasm. He found his tribe in the great gang now in Sligo Labour. And best of luck to Nessa and Bernie in the local elections. And he's made many more lifelong friends. He served as chair of the constituency in the Sligo branch for several years. Now he's making way for younger activists, but he'll still be there, cracking jokes, working for people's empowerment in whatever way he can, and hopefully winning those seats back in Sligo. Congratulations. Thank you. Kit Callaghan joined the Labour Party in Balbriggan in the mid-1960s and has had uninterrupted membership and service ever since. Kit has been a backbone not only of the Balbriggan branch, but indeed of the entire constituency of North Dublin, which has gone through various incarnations and has spread as far as Coolmine and Palmerstown during those times. Kit, for many years, was the transport man in the branch in those years. A very, very important role when not many people had cars or indeed vans. Delivering posters, leaflets, and most importantly, getting people to polling stations. With men such as Desi Morgan and Kevin Dowling, Kit was a relentless activist in building up the constituency membership right across North County Dublin. In Kevin's car, they would drop countless leaflets over the North County, inviting people to meet the local Labour team and join up at a particular time and venue. People would turn up at the designated time, usually to be met with someone like Sean Ryan or Finbar Carey, who would then try and seal the deal in signing up the members. Kit has performed every single role imaginable in the Balbriggan branch and throughout our constituency. On a personal level, I'm delighted to be the one honouring Kit here this evening. I met him in 2010 in advance of the 2011 general election, and I spent almost every evening of that election in Balbriggan with Kit, Richard Wiley, the late Jimmy Cannon and other members. Kit's wisdom, strength and sense of mischief made for so many enjoyable evenings in that election and for many more since, and it's been the beginning of an enduring friendship. I'm in the Labour Party because of people like Kit Callaghan. He embodies everything that I love about our party, someone who dedicates their lives to helping their neighbours, helping their communities. Kit, thank you for everything you do for our party, not just in Balbriggan and Dublin Fingal, but you embody what our party is, and it's people like you in constituencies all over our country that ensures us that our Labour Party will continue to not only survive, but to thrive. Kit Callaghan, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Lovely, well done.
We'll go and get it there. Some of you might have remembered a wonderful painting that was done of a photo that was taken of Kit during the Dublin Bay South by-election. Ivana was taking part in a debate that was being covered on radio, and Kit pulled up the chair in the kitchen because someone else had the TV on in the house, and he was leant over. It was a wonderful photo, which was then turned into a painting, which was presented by Ivana recently. But again, it is these members up here on the stage tonight, and many more down on the floor this morning, of short, medium, long-term service, those that haven't joined the party yet and those that will in years to come, and those that have passed on. They're the backbone of the Labour Party. This is an important part of conference. It's a wonderful part of conference to always honour those upon whose shoulders we stand. And on that, we draw this evening to a close and look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning.